Hey people, how's it going? Welcome to another video. Welcome to another episode of Albums Ranked, episode number 31. So we did the Beatles, we did the classic rock thing. Now we're back onto heavy metal, hard rock, all this good stuff we know and love here on this channel. And I thought, seeing as how tomorrow/today, whenever you see this video, is Friday the 13th, it's October, what better band to do around the Halloween-esque area of the year, rather than, we've done Merciful Fate. I did them a year ago. I was going to do King Diamond, but his voice got on my nerves, so I didn't. So today we're doing the next greatest best thing, Typo Negative. They're an American gothic band from Brooklyn, New York, formed in the late 80s, 1989. 7 albums. We're doing 7 albums. There's six studios, 1 live/fake live album. But like I say, there's only 7 of them, so we're going to include that as well. They focus on, if you're unfamiliar, they focus on the likes of goth rock, synth, like dark synth wave, doom metal. There's bits of Sabbath in there, like influence and stuff, and it's just awesome. The frontman, Peter Steele, and bass player, I should say as well, unfortunately died in 2010. So along with him, the band died, so they don't exist anymore, but their legacy still lives on as like the best dark gothic metal band ever. So with that out the way and mentioned and said, let's just get straight into the ranking of 7 albums from Typo Negative. But before we get started, like always everybody, let me know down below what your favorites are. I've found that a lot of the Typo rankings that I've watched, the cool thing about them is they don't really have a bad album, so every list is like acceptable, if you know what I mean. Like, some people will put I've put my 7 at 7, whereas other people will put my 7 at number 1, and it just, they all have great elements about them, and that's what made ranking Typo so much fun, is their albums are genuinely all a really good time. So if you've never listened to Typo, I really highly recommend you do. But yeah, enough rambling, let's get straight into it with Typo Negative, and here is my number 7. So coming in at the bottom, I won't say last because, obviously someone has to go last, but it's still a great album, more or less. They're all great. As I said before, please go check out any of these albums. They're fantastic. But for me, coming in at the bottom is the fake live album, Origin of the Feces, from 1992. So I'm not entirely sure where the idea to do a fake live album came from, but I assume that they probably got given a bunch of money and wasted it all, and this was just what they came up with under a substance influence. I don't know, but it is, as I said, it is a live album, but it is fake. All the audience tracks that you hear aren't like they're not real, which is funny because if you listen to it, you can hear things that you'd really question whether or not it would be real. Like when you put the album on, it starts with the audience chanting "You suck, you suck, you suck," which you would hope is a fake album. Somewhere in it, I think, it's in the second half of the album, not entirely sure where, but they stop saying, right, you guys have to leave because there's a bomb scare, there's a bomb threat, so you'll have to get out, and they cheer or whatever. They say, we've only got one more song left, and the crowd cheers, things like that. But aside from the fakeness about it, it is still a live album, you could say, and it's more or less, the track listings on here are more or less from the debut, plus like reworked cover versions. Like, for example, you've got I Know You're in Someone Else, which is from the debut. That's a great song regardless. Are You Afraid is a bit of a hardcore song. It's pretty honest and violent in lyrical content, but it's fine. Pain is cool. Kill You Tonight is crack up. Hey Pete, which is a piss take of Hey Joe from Jimi Hendrix, and then they do Kill You Tonight again. It's a cool album, it's fun, it's nothing to be taken seriously, but for me it goes at number 7 purely because it's not a studio. There's just so much better stuff that Typo do. So yeah, Origin of the Feces coming in at the bottom for me. Number 6 is the debut, Slow, Deep and Hard. Again, just it's a great album, more or less. As I said before, Typo are famous for their slow, dark, gothic-y vibe. However, their roots and this album purely come from New York hardcore. Peter Steele, his previous band before Typo was Carnivore, which was a very short-lived band. I think, at least he was short-lived in it. They're aggressive and it's hardcore, punky stuff. So a lot of that a lot of like the leftover carnivore riffs come into this first Typo album, and it really gives it like a punchy, fun edge. Like I say, it's still a fun album. It's nothing compared to what we get later. It's obviously a bit different. If you like punk stuff, it's cool. But if you like short punk stuff, then you're going to have maybe a hard time listening to it, because all these albums, by the way, I should mention, they are all quite long. So they're all like a good hour plus. Like this one, the debut is just under an hour, 58 minutes, even though it's 7 tracks. You've got Unsuccessfully Coping with the Natural Beauty of Infidelity. Yeah, the first song is 12.5 minutes, which is a fantastic song, by the way. It's broken up into 3 parts. It's a really angry song. However, the last part is cool. It's from the other album we just talked about, I Know You're Fucking Someone Else. That's such a cool part of the song. It's a great chorus. It's like a call and response thing. I know you're fucking someone else, and then the backing vocals. He knows you're fucking someone else. It's so cool. Der Untermensch, which I think is, I don't know how you say that, but it's the German track. It's probably the weakest song for me and on the album, but it's still fun. That's another 9-minute song. Zero Tolerance is great. The drums in that in the second half, not far from the end, I'm pretty sure it's that song. That's great. Prelude to Agony is just glorious. The Misinterpretation of Silence and Its Disastrous Consequences is just a minute silent track. There's nothing on it. And Gravitational Constant, G equals 6.67 times 10 to the power of 8 centimeters. That track, I don't know what the name is, it's fun as well. The thing with Typo is, yeah, there's a lot of humor thrown in their stuff, especially in the early albums as well. They're great fun. They are not to be taken seriously. They're cool. But this one has, yeah, like I said, punky elements as well as the dark gothic stuff. So it's still fun. It's a pretty explicit album cover. If you don't know about it, it's a pornographic shot of intercourse, really zoomed in and distorted. But yeah, aside from that, great album. Yeah, Slow, Deep and Hard, number 6. Number 5 is their 6th studio album, Life Is Killing Me. I love this album as well. You know, the second half of this chart, this rank, don't take it as if these albums are bad. This one is cool, despite the album name and the album cover. It's quite a upbeat album. Like, it's not as depressing as the album that comes before it, but we'll talk about that one later. This was released and written, this was written during Peter Steele's a really, really dark period of time. This album and the album that comes before it were both written in some pretty, his life just was going downhill, like it was insane. Look at the title, not the title track. Well, actually, yeah, look at the title track. Life Is Killing Me is probably the standout song in my opinion. I love that. It's so cool. Lyrically, it's fun. The chorus is simple but effective. I really think it's just catchy. Life is killing me. It's very, very melodic. It's so cool. This is a very melodic-y, upbeatish album. Big choruses in this one. It's very cool. And then the second half of Life Is Killing Me changes slightly. It goes a bit more slower, and then it comes back into that chorus again. Really cool. But the lead single, I Don't Want to Be Me, is fun. It's upbeat, considering I Don't Want to Be Me. It's a terrible song name, but yeah. There's other stuff on here which is great. I really love Todd's Ship Gods, above all things. That's cool. I like Goyles, which is I like girls, just in a hardcore accent. Nettie, which was written about Pete's mum dying, and I think Life Is Killing Me was written after his father died. Both his parents died real quick within each other. I'm not 100% sure when, but was it a year within each other? I don't know, but yeah, just a really, really rough album, but incredibly upbeat as well. But yeah, Life Is Killing Me is a really, really great track. I love it so much. A Dish Best Served Coldly is awesome as well. So yeah, and again, this one is a long one too. This is 75 minutes almost. So it's a long album. These albums can be a mission to get through, but they have hooks and melodies that keep you wanting more. So before you know it, 75 minutes doesn't seem like that long. Just give it a try. Number 5, Life Is Killing Me. Number 4 is the album that comes before Life Is Killing Me. Number 4 is World Coming Down. I really, really wanted this to be higher. I genuinely did. But I genuinely wanted this to be higher because I'd watched people talk about World Coming Down, and it is Typo's bleakest album. It's bleak and it's melancholic and it's miserable. And I was like, oh, cool. Woods of Ypres are beautiful and melancholic. and depressing, and that's one of my favorite albums of all time. So I assumed that this was going to follow suit and being like beautifully melancholic and melodic at the same time, but it just felt short of being like the top. Well, not just fell short, but it fell of being my favorite Typo album. It's still great, and again, it really drags on as it would. This one is 75 minutes again, and there's some interesting hooks on here, as well as some interesting practical jokes as well. This album starts with a joke track called Skip It, which sounds like the CD is skipping. Like do you remember what that sound is? Like when a CD starts skipping, it's like da, 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 da. It's really, really bad stuff. And then who's it say? Someone says sucker, and then White Slavery starts, which is a great song, fantastic song. It's a long one, 8.5 minutes. The second half of that is my favorite. It's great. There's 3 intermission and what are they called? They're not skits, but there's 3 little 50-second tracks. Sinus, Liver, and Lung. And this was written during Pete's real hard drug addiction. So Sinus is doing the hard stuff. Liver is about alcohol. Well, I say it's not about anything. They're just sound effect songs. They're showing you his body breaking down. Yeah, that's it. And then Lung, yeah, everything's breaking down. Everyone I Love Is Dead. Fantastic song, easily my favorite off this album. Who Will Save the Sane is okay, not my favorite. Everything Dies, depressing, kind of lyrically funny, which is awful because it shouldn't be funny, but it's just like, I loved my dad, but he died. You know, it's funny, but it's not funny. Pirated Blaze is cool. All Hallows Eve is fun. And then there's a Beatles medley cover thing at the end of it for some reason. Don't know why. But yeah, World Coming Down is still a fantastic album. It's long and it drags and it's brooding and depressing, but it's so, so good. World Coming Down, number 4, I think. Is that what I said? Yeah, World Coming Down, number 4. Number 3 is Typo's last album, Dead Again, from 2007. This one is just fun. After you sit through World Coming Down and then you sit through Life Is Killing Me, you know, a bit of depression and darkness, and you think you need to see a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel, this is where that album kind of fills that spot. By this point, Pete was clean. He was doing really, really well. You know, like he had a bit of a rough time, but like, you know, he was on the mend, shall we say. He was doing really, really well, and he died of heart failure, which is so sad. But yeah, Dead Again brings back, after you've had so much dark synth gothic wave stuff, you come back to an album like Dead Again and you do get some punky elements again. So it's almost like, oh cool, here we go. You know, there's guitar solos, which we don't really get in Typo music, but they make an appearance here. The title track and the first song, Dead Again, fantastic song, really, really fun. Just a quick 4-minute single, it's great stuff. Tripping of a Blind Man, I really like that song. I also saw in an interview that apparently that song was written about Pete's family taking him to rehab, because it was just apparently so blindsided by it. They thought the people that loved him the most, you know, they wouldn't dare do that, but they did it anyway. So it's a bit like, oh, okay. Prophet of Doom, an 11-minute song. That one's fun. September Sun, that's a single, I think. Really, really good. However, these three things, which is 15 minutes, it's not my favorite. The one that makes me go, good God, this album is fantastic, is the goddamn closing track. Hail and Farewell to Britain. I don't know why it's called that. I'm not entirely sure what the song's about. No, please let me know down below if you do. It's 9 minutes and it's just fun. I don't know why. I love the ending, All Hail and Farewell to Britain, which is just me being British. I think it's just fun. The melodies in that are fun. The wohos that he does in that, it's a melodic as album. It's a melodic as song. And Hail and Farewell is just great. And what's cool is I noticed someone else mentioned as well, the lyric in the last song, Hail and Farewell, he says, all hail and farewell to Britain, and then he says, all hail and farewell to me, which is weirdly ominous because after that he was dead. So it's kind of like, oh, interesting. You know, it's just, I don't think he knew that death was coming, but still, it's just it's just one of those things, you know. But yeah, that song alone just puts this album at 3, but the rest of it is still good too. Like I said before, there's some punky elements, you know, and then there's also some dark goth metal as well. So yeah, Dead Again is great. I highly recommend you check it out. Number 3, Dead Again. Number 2 is the album that I thought was going to be number 1 when I started listening to this stuff, but I was quite glad that it wasn't number 1 because I didn't want to be a basic bitch. Number 2 is Bloody Kisses, the album that blew them up. This one's from 1993, so it's 30 years old, which I forget half the time that these guys were a prime 90s band. You know, you had World Coming Down. You had Life Is Killing Me from 2003, and then 2007 was the last one. So yeah, they were heavy. They were a heavy 90s dominant band. But yeah, Bloody Kisses is the one that most people are familiar with. If they haven't listened to much of them, they probably listened to 1 or 2 songs from this album, purely for probably Black Number 1, Little Miss Scarel, which is the first typo song I ever heard. However, I don't actually remember how I found out about typo. I remember being on a work trip and laying in the hotel, and I put this album on to fall asleep to, and I remember hearing Black Number 1 and Christian Woman, which is great as well, and thinking, what is this? But I must have fallen asleep, so because I don't remember the rest of it. So we've come back to it. Bloody Kisses number 2, Christian Woman, is a great song. Again, a bit like Prelude to Agony. And White Slavery. The second half of that song is just fantastic. I love the Jesus Christ Looks Like Me part. I think that's cool. It's good stuff. Black Number 1, which is pretty much the ultimate Halloween song. It's fantastic. It's 10 minutes. It's 11 minutes actually. What I love about that song, right? So you get some songs. I can think of one immediately, but I'll talk about it when I get there. You get a song like Black Number 1, which has, you know, the verse and then it has a chorus, right? And then it breaks down. And then normally, most of the time, when people have like a 10-minute, 11-minute song, they'll have this breakdown part, and then they'll mostly, I think, go off in a different direction and leave behind like the motifs, shall we say, of verse 1 and verse 2, and forget about it, which can be annoying because sometimes the best hooks and best melodies come from the first half. So you then get like 7-8 minutes of the rest of the song, and there's nothing relating back to what happened before. However, Black Number 1 doesn't do that. It has this awesome breakdown, and then to make it feel like it ends and it resolves, it hits you back with that awesome Black Number 1 chorus, and it's just like, thank God it made the 12-minute mission worth it. Summer Breeze is a cover song, however, it's really funny. There's a cover on every album, I'm pretty sure, off the top of my head. I'm not entirely sure, I could be wrong, but that one's fun as well. Set Me On Fire is great. I love Set Me On Fire, it's awesome. We Hate Everyone is a punky song at the start, and then it changes to typical typo in the second half. It's really, really fun. Bloody Kisses, the title track, A Death in the Family, so fun. Too Late, Frozen, great stuff, honestly. Blood and Fire, the second half of this album is just as strong as the first half. It's so cool. This was available on vinyl in my local shop, and I didn't pick it up because it was 80 odd bucks. And now that I really, really like it, I'm annoyed that I didn't pick it up. But anyway, Bloody Kisses, number 2, fantastic album. Most people have this, a lot of people have this at number one, and I don't blame them. It's a fantastic album, another long one, 70 odd minutes, but yeah, go listen to this one if you haven't, I swear to God. Number 2, Bloody Kisses. Which can only mean that number 1 is 1996's October Rust. How fitting that the name of the month is in the album the month that we're in is the name of the album. Yeah, October Rust from 1996, released August 10. This album became my favorite pretty quickly. I've listened to this album the most whilst doing all this ranking. I like they really honed in their sound by now. This is album 4, I'm pretty sure. That's right. Yeah, this is album 4. So there's no punky stuff off the top of my head. It's pure typo goth stuff. It's absolutely fantastic. What I like about it, though, this is going to sound weird. What I love about it, Bad Ground, the weird opening song, is funny and noisy. But then it goes to the band speaking to, just talking to you about saying, you know, thank you for picking up our album. We hope you enjoy it. And I'm like, how personal. That's kind of cool. And then once you get through that, you then get hit with probably my favorite song off the album and probably top 3 typo songs of all time, Love You to Death. goodness gracious. That haunting vampire piano-y sound, that beautiful melody when he sings the words, love you to death. It's just insane. I love it. And what I said before, just about the bloody, the Black Number One thing resolving, yeah, I wish that they had like another verse at the end of this 7-minute song, because it steers away and changes completely, which is fine, it works, but it's just like, God, that melody to me is just so, so beautiful and powerful. They should have used it more than twice. Be My Druidess is a very naughty song lyrically, but it's very cool. Green Man is beautiful, so melodic and fun. My Girlfriend's Girlfriend, that's just more silly typo. Like, you know, it's great fun though. It's great. Burnt Flowers Fallen is a bit dumb, but it's catchy enough. Although I don't think it needs to go on for 6 minutes. 2 minutes, fine. If you listen to that, it's just the same lyrics. It's the same line, I think, throughout the whole thing. Same 2 lines. Yeah. So interesting. Cinnamon Girl, the Neil Young cover, that's weirdly amazing as well. And I love Haunted. I think Haunted fits Pete's voice so, so well. He does such a great job. Honestly, this is a fantastic album. It's 70 minutes, but my God, it doesn't feel like it. October Rust is an awesome album. It's huge, it's melodic, it's haunting, it's gothic, it's Halloween, it's typo negative at their best, I think. October Rust is a fantastic album, and I will pay a lot of money to physically have that on vinyl one day. I swear to God. Number 1, guys, October Rust. Go listen to it. And booyah, there we are. There's our, you could say, Halloweenish themed episode for our episode of Albums Ranked. Like I said at the start, let me know down below what your favorite typo negative album is. Is it October Rust like me? Is October Rust down the bottom? Is your number 1 Origin of the Feces? Have you got Bloody Kisses at the top? You know, let us know. This is what we like to do. I've already got my next ranking in my head, but I think I'm going to chuck out a few little fun discussion videos before that one comes out. So yeah, keep an eye out for those. But until that happens, team, like always, stay inside, stay safe, listen to typo, respect Peter Steele, rest in peace, buddy. And I will see you all in the next video. See you later.